Different spot. Hey, everybody. John Gums going live. Dakota Grappler, episode 142 already. I got one special guest on. Bill will be in shortly. He is probably feeding some cattle or walking some dogs. He does some other things. But Bill will be on shortly. You can see my special guest, Nate Human, co-head wrestling coach, Bismarck Century. We're going to just talk a little bit of Olympic stuff tonight and the Olympic trials. And I guess, we could recap almost anything. I'm just happy to have you along, Nate. How you doing?
Doing good. Just excited to talk about the wrestling that we saw on Friday and Saturday, and some some controversial stuff too. If you weren't in the loop, but
that is right. When it comes to weighing in at the right time or whatever it is, we'll talk about Jayden Cox. We'll talk about Jordan Burroughs. I tell you what, I was a little emotional. And I've been a Jordan Burroughs fan for a long time. But I've also been a Dake fan from when he was going, watched him wrestle at the D1s a couple different times. And he always surprised me because I bet against him because I was thinking he's going to lose. He moved up a weight every year, just wasn't impressed. And I said, I watched the documentary just the night before the Olympic trials called Bad Blood. And it came out. They had it on Flow, and I have got premium on Flow, but I never did look and find it. Then it came out on YouTube, and I'm going, oh, yeah, I was going to watch this. And it was about 50 minutes of kind of the story of Dake and Burroughs and how they were going at each other and how basically Dake kept coming back and couldn't beat him. And so I was primed and ready for that match, and I was hoping it would happen, and it did. And Dake just couldn't score him. And so we'll talk about that even before we get into all of those. Other surprises, we got some local talent from South Dakota in there. We had a girl from Brookings, South Dakota, who's wrestled in North Dakota. Watched her grow through the things. She made the finals, which is kind of cool. A lot of young women.
Yes. Yeah. Rana had a great tournament. And then I think kind of the story of the women's side was Kennedy Blades and Kylie Welker, 17-year-olds who, if the Olympic trials would have been held last year, wouldn't have been able to compete. And here they are with it postponed a year later. They get to compete in the Olympic trials, and they both end up making the finals, which was pretty cool to watch.
Phenomenal.
I don't understand why you have to be 18 to compete in the Olympic Games. And you watch like the women's gymnastics, and there was girls like 15 or 16 years old competing. If you're good enough at your sport to be in your 16-year-old wrestler, you should be able to wrestle in the Olympic Games. I didn't know that you had to be 18 to compete at the Olympic trials and then compete in the Olympic Games. I don't necessarily understand that because I can see on the women's side that there could be some generational talents. And even, on the men's side at that lighter weight class in other countries that you could be 18 years old or just a little bit younger after you win a junior world title and be right there. That kind of surprised me. But, yeah, fun to watch, especially Kennedy Blades. She gets after it.
Oh, and strong. Just physically strong. Usually the women, you start seeing some of this maturity, and as they get a little bit older, they're just so much stronger than the younger ones, but just talent galore there. Hey, welcome. And welcome, Bill. We just got going a couple minutes. I said you were out either walking dogs or feeding cattle.
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah, so how you doing, Bill?
I'm doing okay.
That's good.
Looks like you're excited to watch the Masters this week.
Masters week.
There you go.
You know what? That's what Bill and I do in the off season. We just golf a little.
What's the off season?
Off from the wrestling season, I guess. And there's not much of that for you, but for me, there's a little bit more off than you, I'm thinking. So
did you watch Bryson? Did you watch Bryson teeing it up at the driving range at the Masters this week? Have you seen some of those clips?
I have not seen anything.
Oh my gosh, that guy takes, not that this needs to be a golf podcast now, but that guy takes wicked hacked at the ball.
Oh. Nobody swings it harder.
No, definitely. So, Bill, what was your first impression of all the wrestling this weekend? Give us a first impression.
Well, it's the greatest tournament on earth. It's so much fun to watch. It's it's like we talked about last week. It's a tournament full of killers, and it never works out just the way you think it would, right? The number one seeds don't always win. Most of the time, the guys that are sitting in the finals win, but not all the time, obviously. And we saw, like you always do at this tournament, you saw those guys that that took their shoes off and left them on the mat. You kind of tip your hat to those guys and gals. I think there was a couple of those that didn't leave their shoes on the mat, but are going to walk away. So it's such great wrestling. And I guess the thing that really stands out, and when I have went to that tournament in the past, that you notice is, how there is just such levels. We think about a guy. Two guys that kind of probably come to mind are Jason Nolf and Bo Nickel, right? I mean, these are, when you watch them wrestle in college, it's just they're some of the best ever that were in the game, and they had and they obviously both performed really well in the mini tournament, and then just had nothing in the for Dake or for Taylor.
There's still one more level above.
There's still at least one more level, and maybe two. And you see that it's several weight classes, I guess I would say. So,
or even a guy like AJ Ferrari, you watched him 2 weeks before at NCAAs, and you're like, how can anybody take this guy down? He can beat some of these guys, and
right.
He'll eventually get there, but it wasn't last weekend. That was one thing that I was looking forward to, watching some of those guys or like a David Carr, seeing where he stacks up.
David Carr's a perfect example. David Carr, nobody really even touched him at the NCAA tournament, and he wasn't even there.
Sometimes those guys can jump right in, but sometimes it's there's more development.
There's some, right? There's a heavyweight. There's a heavyweight that can.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's gonna be dominant for a long time. I mean,
as long as he wrestles. I mean, we just gotta hope he stays around the sport. But yeah, he's amazing. I mean, it just makes it, like we've said in the past, he just makes it look so easy. And I just don't know how anybody really scores on him. And I know that at heavyweight, there's other great guys in the world that are different than what we have here in the country. But he, you shoot on him, he's going to score on you because he's going to go around you. If he shoots, he just always finishes. I mean, I can't remember a time where he shot and did not finish the shot that he took.
I remember his reattacks, like when somebody shoots on him, he gets back in on the leg. But I feel like watching him this last weekend and then at NCAAs, he's really getting good at going to the corner and just getting his
runs around you.
Yeah, run. Yes. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's so fast, obviously so powerful. Got a great wrestling IQ. He's really good.
And Gable, he just amazes me each time because I think he's just getting better now. I think he's
starting to take it more serious. I think he started to take it more seriously with the Olympic year I think there's, with the weightlifting and some of that other training, he's really going all in. And if he does that for the rest of the summer, for the next 2 months, he might even improve from what we saw at the trials. I mean, definitely.
Right. Yep. Yeah, he's pretty special.
Yeah. Okay. So let's kind of start from some of the beginning weights and just make quick impressions, and we can go for as long as we need. But let's talk freestyle again. We ignore Greco for some reason, but we'll mention some of the names. But let's go straight to the 57. That's Gilman and Arajo, right?
Well, first of all, one of the most interesting things in that weight class, I thought, was that Suriano had a positive COVID test and couldn't wrestle. I was looking forward to him being thrown in the mix. I don't know. He had outplaced Gilman at their most recent tournament, and they were going to be on the same side of the bracket. So that would have been interesting.
It would have, yep.
And that's right. When Bill was upset right away too, or was it Jim that said something right away? Like, boy, that's just a big change in the bracket.
Well, it was, and obviously, it's the crazy thing is, if we made it through D1s, we made it through D2s, made it through D3s, NAI, nobody ever had a positive test, and we go to the first day of the trials and we lose one.
And you feel for the guy because he could have wrestled for Rutgers this year, but he chose to move to Arizona and train with Mark Perry for, 6 to 8 months, and something like that happens. And other thing I wanted to bring up, before we go any further too, is it was interesting to see the size of the brackets. So the Greco brackets were pretty large, and the women's freestyle brackets were 16 or in that 16 range. And the men's freestyle, there was only between 7 or 8 wrestlers. And I would like to see going forward more guys in the brackets.
One more level.
Yes, one more level. And I know the results would probably be the same, but I don't know. That's just my feel for it. It'd be nice to see some more guys in there competing.
Yep.
I don't disagree. I think the only thing I would here, I mentioned that a year ago or more, 2 years ago, whatever it was, probably a year ago to Terry Steiner, and he was kind of like, hey, this is the Olympic trials. We don't need everybody there. So
that's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
It does, and of course on the Greco side, and each coach makes that decision,
right?
Or a team of coaches, I'm guessing. But I want to see more there too, because you want to see more matches.
You go back a week previous at the loser out or the last chance.
Yep.
There were several guys I would have loved to seen in there.
Yep.
Well, you just look at Terry's women's brackets. They had several girls. Well, I shouldn't say several, but several girls that were double-digit seeds made deep runs. And I can't help but think that he's thinking that it's good experience for some of his younger athletes to wrestle in multiple Olympic trials, so they're used to competing in at that level. So that's why I like it, and I hats off to Terry for doing that. I think it's a great idea. I wish the men would do the same, but
right.
You don't see a 14 seed make the finals in the men's.
No, wouldn't happen.
But we had a 9 seed win it in 2016 at 65 kilograms.
That's right.
So it's, that's not. It's not 9's not 14, but it's not that far from it, right? I mean, you're not supposed to win your first match either way.
Yeah.
How about the one more match from there? How about the Fix Araujo match? Fix actually looked out of shape. I thought he would, maybe it was just the grind of going through the bracket. Anything in that semifinal?
Well, that was his first match. Could be weight cut. He's pretty big. Not 2 weeks ago he's wrestling 33 and looking huge at 33. I've always heard, and of course guys change as they get older, but I've always heard that 25 really wasn't that hard for him, that he was surprisingly easy is kind of probably how I'd heard it. But then again, part of that maybe I heard John Smith say that, he thinks everybody should go down 2 weights. So, I thought Vito looked good. And then, Gilman, obviously Gilman looked great. I don't know. I find it very interesting, and I will be very, I don't know. You never really know the answer, but Gilman made the move from Iowa to Penn State, and you don't know, how much that has affected his wrestling. I think his scrambling looks better than I kind of have seen it look in the past. But he also, still looked very physical. Wrestled really good from underhooks. He has a good strategy. He's just got to go. I think some people are somewhat doubting what he can do this summer at the Olympic Games, but everybody is draw dependent, but I think he could make a really deep run. He can get guys tired. He controls the center of the mat. He's just if a guy gets to his legs, he's got to figure out how to stop him. Basically, that's the way I see it, and not let people get 2-point takedowns on him, and he's got to turn some of those into his own. But controlling the mat and working guys out of bounds, he's very good at that. And as far as scrambling is concerned, he's in the right room to learn a far ankle scramble and some of those tricks. So, yeah, and I think, was it at the Mateo Pellicone here a while back that, he had a match won, and just, he makes every once in a while, it just seems like he makes mental errors, and if those can get cleaned up by then, I think he's really, if he just, he's in a pretty good spot. I surely think he can medal there.
Right.
But like you said, you're somewhat draw dependent, but then on the other hand, maybe you lose somewhere along the line because you get with a really good guy, and then they drag you along, so you're getting into the bronze medal match. But he's maybe not quite got the same situation Metcalf did, in the sense that once guys get done wrestling them, they never win their next match, because they got, even if he lost, because he beat them back up so bad. But he can have that effect on people a little bit too. But he looks pretty good, and I think the weight's really good for him. I think he's in a real good place. His attitude seems good, and obviously he's got a good coaching staff, so it'll be fun to see. I thought maybe one of the, I would say there's lots of surprising things, of course, but Tomasello is taking third in that bracket. I thought was a little bit surprising. He did have some guys like Seth Gross and Joe Cologne, a few others that forfeited out, on the second day, but great for NATO to make the team anyway. So,
he was, if you remember back to Bill, you probably remember this. John, you haven't been following it as close the last couple of years, but he was seconds away from beating literal seconds away from beating Gilman in 2017. Like, it was under 5 seconds, and Gilman scored through a waterfall in the middle position on him, and then he would have went on to wrestle Tony Ramos, I believe, in the finals. And I mean, he's been right there. I think he's battled a lot of injuries, and I don't think it's exactly easy for him to make the weight, but he's always been somebody that I've liked to watch.
Yep.
It's your weight class, isn't it?
Yeah. Mini Brent Metcalf. His left-handed post high crotch is one of the best there is. So
you bet. Yep.
Okay, let's go to 65. Now, this one, to me, I don't know. I think it was you, the only one that gave him a real prayer. The guy who ended up winning it last week, and we talked about this, was Oliver. And he coming out of that bracket, that's a tough place. The 3 spot, is not so bad, but he had to go through a battle, and you look at the top side of the bracket, that was all messed up. And so, what do you think at 65 so far?
Well, I love Jordan Oliver. I mean, I of course I also really like Yanni. So I had Yanni picked to win it, but I obviously Oliver, came on top of that one 4-4. Good match. 2 guys that have trained together a lot. Maybe, it's one of those deals like, what separates that, but it's just a position here and a position there. But the bottom side of the bracket was really tough. Tougher than you even thought, right? Nick Lee looked way better than you would have expected him to look. Puts it on Mitch McKee right away. I picked McKee in that match, but I also, if McKee is somewhat head pinch dependent, right? If he gets that head pinch, he can end a match in a hurry. But
I expected James Green to show better against McKenna, is what I was.
Well, I think Well, I don't disagree with that. I still think that's a tough. I still think 65 kilograms is just really tough for James Green. He, I know he was trying to talk himself into that. It's way easier this time, but
it's 143 pounds. That's like wrestling 141 in college, and he wrestled 157.
57. Yeah. And it didn't look like he was
10 weight classes. Bring back more weight classes for the Olympics.
Right. Yeah. Get that 10.
But just McKenna's really good, and he's so good positionally. He beat
good. Yanni in 2019. People at the U.S. Open. People forget that. He pieced people up at Fargo a lot of years when I was there too. Ugh.
Right. Yep. No, he's really good, and I think he's in a good training spot out there. I think you're going to see a whole lot more coming from the Penn RTC. Brandon Slay obviously does a good job. Got a great relationship with the athletes he's got. Bringing in another guy that we're going to talk about in the next weight class here soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was.
I liked Oliver's defense. I watched 3 of his matches, and nobody could get on him. He great conditioning. He looked good through the whole thing, and he'd score off of their stuff. So It was good defensive wrestling. I watched a lot of guys. That was as big as anything in the tournament. Not offense as much. It was like scoring off of reshots.
And he had a go-to attack when he needed one. He had that left-handed sweep single when he really needed a takedown. And I haven't seen that from him in a while. He was getting so dependent on pushing guys and keeping space and trying to control the center. But I thought he had really good defense. I don't know.
His motion was good. Footwork's good.
Now this is nitpicking, and I'm not even close to the wrestler.
You can pick nits. That's okay.
But it doesn't seem like Yanni's been as offensive as he was when he came out and won the U.S. Open right out of college. Like his attacks, like and getting to legs and finishing. Do you see that?
Tell you the same thing. Yeah, I think I've heard him say the same thing.
He couldn't pull the trigger.
He's gotten so good at scoring off other people's attacks that it makes it a little bit tougher, but that's something he's going to have to get figured out.
Shoot that high crotch or get on an extended single and suck the guy's leg in. And I just haven't seen, I don't know.
I did not see his match against McKee on the backside where he beat Mitch McKee 14-4. So, obviously scored some points there, but that's against, Mitch McKee and not Jordan Oliver, so. But then he got beat up by Nick Lee.
Yeah,
for third place.
I didn't watch that match.
I did not see it either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I went back and looked at the results. I think I watched maybe one or two going back, but I missed a lot of those third place matches.
Yeah. The only caveat here is we have not got this weight qualified yet.
Yeah.
So
scary.
Very scary. You got to go and talk about being draw dependent. You got to go and place in the top two. There's no wrestle back there. You get beat before the finals, you're not going, right? I mean, you're not, so hopefully he ends up on the right side of the bracket there and can make it to the finals and get the weight qualified.
And when is that wrestled? Is that next weekend?
It's in May.
Oh, it's in May. It's a little ways away.
May 4th or
6th, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
So where will he be training?
He'll be training in North Carolina.
Okay.
And that's in Bulgaria, that last chance.
Sofia, Bulgaria. Yep. So it'll be a tough tournament. We got that weight and 2 Greco weights to qualify. So heavyweight and Greco and another one.
77.
77. It was 70 something. I knew that, but I can't remember. So
okay. Well,
that looking back to that finals match with him and McKenna, the ouch moment of the finals for me was when Jordan, that first match, Oliver was in that there's quad pod position and there was a couple seconds left in the shot clock, and he has to get a knee down, and he just puts his knee right behind McKenna's knee and
drops it down.
Oh my gosh, that looked like it hurt a lot.
Yeah. I think he looked at the clock, if I remember right. And it's like, do I go for the big 4? Nope, I'm going to get my 2, but that just shows that wrestling IQ that, hey, I got to get 2 here before the period ends and move on. So I'm just going to rip his knee off, Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
No, you're right. I almost forgot about that because he had to force that knee down. The thing that I didn't realize, just going back to when a month ago when we did the girls freestyle nationals, Bill and I, that I always thought it was hands down. But freestyle you got to get the third point, that knee down. And then the other one that was smart on somebody too was one of the matches. Somebody was going to get tossed and they put their head down out of bounds. You forget about that one too, and I can't remember which match that was. But they blew the whistle right now, and I'm going, they stopped the continuation and everything because the guy put his head down. He was smart enough.
The other one, a lot of people don't in freestyle too. That a lot of people, I don't know if they notice, but it's a really heady thing to do too. Is if a guy is behind that Merkle position, if you're the guy on bottom and you step over the top guy's leg, they do not award a takedown for that. Right. So you're always trying to hip in or work into them and step over their leg on bottoms because you have to have both your hips behind and covering them. That's interesting. Burroughs was doing it to Dake to try to not give up that takedown in the second match.
They were kind of almost look like an Indian leg wrestle. They're trying to kind of fight that off. No, that's true. Yeah, a lot of people they think it's 2 right away just because it is in folk style, obviously that Merkle position, but nope.
Okay, well, the bracket of the tournament coming up at 74. Man, I tell you what, I was emotional. I mentioned this earlier. that honestly, I've been a Burroughs fan for a long, long time. In fact, he's been probably the face of wrestling for the United States for 10 years now. Yep. And now you take somebody who I've watched and admired going through and working, and I, like you had said before, I watched that Bad Blood, and just the night before the Olympic trials, just kind of get the good feel of what happens. And I got so excited for this final match that I wanted Dake to win because of watching that, Bad Blood. And we had mentioned it before, I picked Dake, but, I always thought Burroughs, he handled it so well when he sat there in the corner of the mat. He just had to take it all in, and he did. And his interview was perfect. I mean, it was that his whole life was just, kind of primed for that situation, and he'll be back.
I think some people, and I know not everybody is, but I think some people after that are sort of writing him off too. And I think people forget that, like, Dave Schultz won the Olympics in 1984. I wasn't alive at this time, but just kind of through my reading, he won the Olympics in 1984. And then Kenny Monday beat him out in 88 and 92. And then Dave was ready to take the spot back in 96. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Kenny Monday was retired, right?
Yeah, correct.
And he came back after Dave was murdered, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, he can, I mean, you never know. He can work his way back into being in that conversation.
I'm very curious to see if he goes up and wrestles at 79 in the World Team Trials here,
right?
Whenever they are later this summer, for the World Championships that will take place this fall. Obviously, I think he's the best in the world at 79 kilograms. Him and Dake are close. And heck, he gave Taylor a heck of a match at 86, and Taylor's a full-sized 86 and is the best in the world. So
beats Aid, who is good at 79 also.
Yeah. I did, and a lot of other people that are maybe a little bit more casual fans that happen to watch it this weekend mentioned to me too that Dake does look quite a bit larger, than Burroughs does. But I don't think 74 is an easy cut for Jordan. I think
Jordan changed up his training method though too. He started kind of doing more of what Dake does. Yep. He's not doing the functional patterns, but he's doing, I think it's called the Wick method or something like that. Yep. And correct. I don't know if he's lost some mass from doing that, but he always used to look, he just didn't look quite as big or ripped up, whatever you want to say,
yep.
as compared to Dake as he normally does.
He's plenty powerful.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
If you go into that match, I thought Dake was ready. I thought he made just enough changes. I mean, they were close before, but Burroughs had the edge, obviously. I don't think Burroughs changed much. It's not like I think, oh, geez, he lost a step, that's why he couldn't beat him. I just think that Dake did a really good job with his movement and not you can't and of course
he wasn't a moving target. He was a moving target. He didn't
as a lot of great athletes would do, right? You would say, oh, I'm going to be best where I'm best. I'll stand right in there and bang with them, and I'll stop them. And sooner or later, Jordan's going to get you. And he may get you into a leg lace, and the match is over. He might get one takedown in a leg lace, and now we're going to match 2, because this one's over. So I thought that he did a real good job of making that plan that, hey, I'm not going to stand in front of him. I'm going to move, keep him moving, get him stopped if I can stop the double. And, once you get in a chest wrap, of course, Jordan was
bellying out.
Yeah, he don't want to get into that because he knows there's really good chance he's going to give up at least 2, if not 4, in there. So if once you got him stopped, I mean, it's crazy how strong Dake is in that position.
So just to talk more about that too, I mean, if you think about it, the guys that have to beat Kyle Dake this summer now that he's our Olympian, good luck trying to get. I mean, the only way you're going to take him down is if you get both of his legs off the ground. That's the way. Because if he has both of his feet on the ground, you're in trouble. And that's what I learned this weekend. You're not going to be able to take him down if he can have both of his feet stuck in the mat.
I think that if you get to one leg and you try to get that off the ground, you're still in trouble. He's going to sit the corner, and you're going to go. He'll crotch lift or chest wrap you, and all before you know it, you'll be sitting right there on your belly, hoping to survive.
Yeah, I don't know how you take the guy down after watching that this weekend.
Yeah, I don't either. Well, no. When was the last time someone did?
Yeah.
Jamaica didn't take him down in that match this summer. He just reversed him, right? Or just got reversed. Yeah.
Yep. No, I don't. I mean, not obviously in this last year, not in 2019, not in 2018.
He got probably taken down when he lost at the Oregon to the Russian. Though that was probably the last time he lost.
Probably. Yep. Been a while.
No, I was impressed with one other thing though. I think, you don't think wrestlers get scared, but I honestly think Burroughs, he got in twice on 2 decent shots and he lost the first one. Then after that, he bailed and he couldn't pull the trigger again. It was like, especially in that second match, there was times where it went 40 seconds without Burroughs even attempting a shot. Because I don't know if he got confused with the movement or whatever, but I honestly thought that he was gun shy at taking his hard double. And I don't know where that come from.
I tried to read lips when Burroughs went back to the corner a couple times, and I think one of the times he mentioned to his corner, he's really strong. Like they wanted him to shoot, and it's like he's really strong and he obviously he is. But I always try to pick up on little stuff like that when I'm watching. But
he's pretty good at the sport of wrestling.
Was there anything else before we move on to the next weight that out of the bracket itself? I was impressed. I wanted actually one other match just to talk a little bit about was the David Carnolf match. I thought that was going to be a really good match.
Well, this is kind of what I was talking about when we say, hey, there's levels. David Carr goes out and beats Logan Massa in the first round 8-0, and you're thinking, yep, he just came through the national tournament, looked like $1 million, and then Nolf just Nolfs him,
Yeah.
And hey, speaking of Nolf, and how about Dake and Nolf? I thought he was going to kill him. I thought he was. I don't know how he didn't go to sleep. I mean, that was his heart. He
did that to Aymar. He's done that to Aymar before too. Yeah.
Yep.
Just pick him up and put him down.
Yep.
It's interesting too. You're seeing these matches in a tournament and it happens once. It'd be like, oh, if they wrestled 3 hours later, would it be a totally different result? That's what's cool about freestyle. I mean, not necessarily the same with folk style. You can kind of game plan a little more, but just when the first starts flying, stuff like that can happen.
Yep. But just to round that bracket out, Evan Wick takes third there, so that's great. Beat Logan Massa along the way again. Pin Chance Marceller in a cradle. Again. Again. Beat Tommy Gant. That's a good win. So I mean, Evan Wick is good. We saw Evan Wick in Fargo at wrestling freestyle a long time ago, and you kind of look at him thinking he's built for folk style, but he's been pretty good at freestyle too.
I can't help but I'm just thinking about this right now too, that bracket, and I know he's never going to make it, but I would love to see Mark Hall in that weight class. If he could make it one more time.
I would too. I mean, he looked. I don't know. I don't know. He says he's staying at 86. I still kind of wonder if he won't go to 79, but maybe he's just going to keep getting bigger. He's not that tall, but he'll be. He's going to be pretty good wherever he ends up, but he's going to have to get bigger at 86 and 79. And who knows? When Burroughs gets out to the Penn RTC, maybe that'll change things a little bit. But maybe not too. Maybe Hall goes 86 and Burroughs going to go 79, and they'll train together.
Well, there's a huge change that we didn't talk about either. It was Burroughs going out there, that moving his location.
Yeah, Burroughs is moving to the Penn RTC. I don't know when he's going to go. Obviously the plan was to go after the Olympics, but he probably isn't going to. He may not wait now that long. He does have now we did just find out he has another baby coming, going to be born this fall. But
Ian Manning kind of had a cool moment. I don't know if you guys saw that too, but where they're. Yep. They think a lot of each other, obviously.
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool to see.
What's funny is we had Mark Manning on last week, and in the background, while I talked back and forth with Mark Manning, and Burroughs calls him Manny, and I got a catch out of that just a little bit when he was back, that he's going Manny, and I was going, okay, that's what I'm talking on the phone. Can you find a way to get on, because he couldn't get his computer to work? I'm going, I think I hear Jordan Burroughs in the background. But so it's funny on how that goes. No, I tell you what, that was another one I wish we could get back, and we'll get back again in the near future. Was Mark Manning.
Oh yeah,
we had some communication, not basically network stuff with him. He had a hard time getting his communication in the end, so we had a very short interview last week.
Can't get him. I hear that Colin Jensen does a really good Mark Manning impersonation. We could just get him in, get Colin in, and do his Mark Manning impersonation. So
that would be good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, how about the next weight class? We got to go to Taylor. That's
86 kilograms.
86. Yep, 86. Yep. Okay, tell us first impressions. I'll let you go. Either one of you.
Before we get to the finals, there was a chin whip from hell that happened in the semi.
Oh my God, he just ripped his head off. Yeah,
that was an amazing like that how Valencia got in on that leg there. It was so slick. Like, he makes things look just incredible with his length, how he can get to a guy's leg and misdirection stuff, and then to chin whip a guy from there. Good gravy. And
I don't think anybody else in the tournament could have done it. You know, I mean, and then of course, I got, fourth graders that think that that's what the move they should use, but it's, and when he did it though, didn't surprise me. Didn't surprise, me and Billy were watching it. It was like, he's the only guy in the world that can do it. And it doesn't even surprise you when he gets it done. I mean, it's just about ripped his head off, scored 4 points, and match is over, Yeah.
Well, it happened in the women's too somewhere.
He ends up getting beaten. He obviously gets beaten in the finals by Taylor, but it'd be interesting, some of our guys that didn't win the Olympic trials to see, you have all these Russians transferring out. It would be interesting to see where some of our number 2s and number 3s would stack up if they were allowed to wrestle in the world championships or the Olympics, because Bo Nickel's a U23 world champion, and I don't know. I think he'd be right there.
I think Zahid's right in there.
Right.
Obviously he doesn't win the match, and he's. I think those three guys are all world class.
Do we have a promoter for the NIT of the Olympics? Get other the second string guys and bring them into Fort Worth or someplace in Texas. I'd go to that too.
Yeah.
Can't afford to go to Japan.
So, I really did think that, especially after Valencia looked so good this spring overseas, I really did think he's going to win that match. But Nickel looked great. But, once again, we saw, we're talking about the Penn RTC or the Lion Wrestling Club having a champ at 57 kilograms. They got the third place guy at 65. They got nobody at 74, but here they got, top 2 guys at 86. Scary.
I guess if you were there live, I listened to Flo's podcast this morning or on my lunch hour. I listened to it a lot, and they said Cody, Casey, and Kale really didn't have to leave the floor very often because they had
they were on the floor the entire weekend. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
pretty wild. So but David Taylor. Once again, we're talking about levels. That guy looked really good. I expect him to be scoring more points. Gabe Dean is really tough to score on. Super strong. And then, the matches with Nickel. Those guys have had to have wrestled a lot of times. So
his wrestling IQ. He's another guy. His wrestling IQ is through the charts. He knows exactly what he needs to do to win. And I was impressed, with Nickel getting in on his legs a couple times. Obviously, they've wrestled a lot, but he can find his way out of sticky situations with that far ankle and take guys down. He is incredible with that. Just so good.
Yeah. I would expect a gold medal coming out of Taylor. I think we just talked about 2 weights, right? I think we got a really good chance at a gold at 74, a really good chance at a gold at 86. 57, we talked about we think that Gilman should be in the mix. I'd expect he's going to place in the top 5, whether you win that match or not. And then I think Jordan Oliver, if he gets the weight qualified, he could surely do some damage.
That's the toughest weight. Sorry to interrupt you, Bill, but that, in my opinion, like the guys that are in that weight class in the world that are already qualified for the Olympics, that is the deepest weight. Like, you don't know, you put everybody's name in a hat, and you could, anybody on any given day could win that weight. And just one of those things. Nobody expected Molinaro to make it to the bronze medal match of the Olympics, and he did. And I think Jo could do the same thing for sure.
Yeah, I do too.
But you got at that weight, you have the Russian, you have who's the Hungarian, super fast. I can't think of his name. I mean, there's just like 5 or 6 guys at 65 that are incredible.
Yep, that is crazy. How good they get at the next level. Okay, let's go to 97.
I was looking here. There's one guy missing.
Yeah.
From this bracket.
Okay.
Yeah. Jayden Cox.
Oh,
Jayden Cox did not make it. So, yeah. A lot of controversy, obviously, but obviously I picked Jayden Cox to win the tournament. I think he wins. I wanted to see him wrestle Sadulayev. I think he wins the Olympic gold medal and becomes the king of the world. But I mean, you got to be there on time and make weight. I don't know what else to say. I just it's strange to me. So
from watching Snyder, I will say this: watching Snyder in the finals against Moore, that is the best I've seen Snyder look in about a year and a half. Like his pace he was putting on and attacking, he didn't rest his hands. That was the best he's looked in a while. So I don't think we need to be, people are. That was going to be a clash of titans, obviously, but I think Snyder can do it again if he continues to improve and uses his pace and an advantage at a weight class like that. I know people are saying that Iranian's good, and he's lost to Sharifov before from Azerbaijan, and obviously Sadulayev, but he could lose to any of those guys, but he's also very more than capable of beating all those guys. I mean, exactly. The last time he wrestled Sadulayev, he got caught. The time before, he put the pace on him and broke him. Sharifov, it's going to be a 1 takedown match, and the Iranian is juiced up. So, I mean, I'll take Captain America.
You got to pass the needle test at some point. Yep.
I'll take Captain America over anybody. So.
I see no reason why he can't win the bracket. I do think, I think Sadulayev is really, really good, and that's going to be I think to me that's the toughest challenge. But, of course we all want to see Jayden and him wrestle, and I do think I still would probably I pick Jayden, but he looked, Kyle looked good, and I surely never ever thought that it was going to be a walk away for Jayden. I think that those guys would love to wrestle each other, So, but it didn't happen. So, it's just the way it is. I
just give Colin Moore some love too. I think there's definitely a pecking order at that weight class, because he's to me, watching that tournament, he's by far and away the number 3 guy. And it'd be interesting, now that Jayden didn't make weight or whatever, if Jayden will go back down to 92, or if Colin Moore goes to 92 or what. Because Colin Moore, he's a very salty wrestler himself. Watching him go through the mini tournament, he kind of steamrolled his way through there pretty good.
Yeah, I bet you see Jayden go to 92 for the World Championships.
I was listening to Wrestling Changed My Life's podcast. Ryan did something with Tirapelli this afternoon, and I listened to that before I came on the show here too. And Tirapelli made a good point. Now, I don't know if this will happen because this is a lot different circumstance, but he made the point that athletes hold a lot of power in these arbitrations. When's the last time that an athlete has lost in arbitration? Like you go looking back. I mean, he rattled them off, but obviously you had the Yanni incident and the Randy Lewis incident, and there's some other ones. And I don't know. He talked me into thinking that there might be a wrestle-off. Now, do I think there should be a wrestle-off? No, but the way he described it, saying athletes have a lot of power in arbitration, I was like, okay, it could still happen. I just don't know what it would look like, but I wanted to put that up too.
Yep. Yeah, I heard the same thing, and he obviously is correct, but I'd watch it.
To do it, he's got to throw his own coach under the bus, though.
Or
his coach kind of already has,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I
don't understand how you don't know. I don't understand how you don't know the weigh-in time. And that's kind of what Tirapelli was saying too on that podcast. It's like, as an athlete, that is step one of wrestling in a tournament. You knowing your weight and being down there. Obviously, I'm not trying to throw them under the bus.
It's weird. It's like, at this level, and I understand that people focus on different things and all that kind of stuff, but
and at a tournament like that too, it's not like
this is
not the tournament in Italy, but this is to make the Olympics. I think think you have your ducks in a row a little more than that. But
no, exactly. But I think we got a good representative there. Kyle Snyder looks good. I think you're right on.
Okay, definitely
right on.
Now the best gymnast of the group coming up next.
Wow,
at heavyweight.
Actually, there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened in this bracket. We talked on the bottom side. We talked about Kirkfleet a little bit on last week's podcast, and we mentioned that after Mason Paris destroyed him, earlier in the year, but a couple more weeks of training that he could be in that match, and obviously he wanted 4-4. I did not see the match, so I don't know how those points came, but he's right in it for sure. But then again, Gable beats him, 11 or whatever it was, 11-0. Yeah.
And again, I think those guys, it'd be interesting to watch both. Well, they have wrestled. Paris beat Gwizdowski once and lost to him once at the RTC Cup, but I wouldn't be ashamed if either of those two guys that are still in college are 19, 20 years old. I would be excited to have them as our Olympic reps too. So, I mean, as awesome as Gable Stevenson is, and he's talking about not continuing to wrestle after the next year or two, it'd be sad, but those two guys are going to be problems for the world going forward too. So it's a really good time for heavyweight wrestling in America.
Yeah, we got a pretty good group there. Gwiz is right there. I mean, he's one of the top, I don't know, 5 guys in the world,
wrestled for a medal at every tournament he's ever wrestled in, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. So and Gable just didn't, I mean, unbelievable how far ahead he was in, where he's moved to, over someone like Gwiz. And I watched him. It must have been, I don't remember which match it was, but I just had this thought like, oh my God, he's got like a new level of confidence too. And not that Gable's ever been lacking of confidence. Maybe, you saw it a little bit when he wrestled Kassar and he was on bottom. It looked like he was short of confidence or disinterested, one or the other. But I mean, you'd think now we got Gable with a heightened sense of confidence. That is completely frightening to me.
Just looks locked. He looks locked in.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've talked about him a bunch, and I think he's an Olympic champ. And
there's 3 guys. I mean, there's him, and then there's Akul, and there's Petriashvili. And I haven't watched Petriashvili a lot. I know that both of those guys are mountains of men compared. I mean, Gable's a big man himself, but these guys are like 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". And Petriashvili can really push the pace, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, with bottom, I mean, they have pace. He has pace. He'll keep shooting. Might shoot himself out of a match, but that's the problem. I think that actually
helps Gable.
We haven't seen him get tired in a while, but I think the more you shoot on him, just like kind of with Paris, right? The more you shoot on him, the worse it's going to get for you, And I don't think you're going to end a match at heavyweight from parterre.
It'd be nice if he could get his hands on those guys. I think one time, because I think he'd be able to make some. Just where he's at mentally right now, he could make some good adjustments. But I don't think they're going to want to wrestle a kid like him.
No, they're not going to end up in the same spot. No, I agree. But good to have a Minnesota boy there. Guy that's wrestled here, and a lot of these people obviously have wrestled in North Dakota or South Dakota at some point. But yeah, good to see him. I actually would say the Gopher Wrestling Club overall had a pretty good tournament, had a fair number of competitors there. I think I'd have to go through all the brackets, but did Iowa have like one guy in the tournament? Sammy Brooks.
Yep.
Obviously Michigan had a few. Oklahoma State had just a couple.
Two or three, and they're on their college team. Like Penn State's got all the posters.
Right. Penn State had a whole pile of them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like John Smith, he had all those guys sticking around, and in 2000 and 2004, and they don't have at Oklahoma State. They don't have that anymore. Like he doesn't seem like he's quite as in. Somebody else is coaching the regional training center. He's not quite as invested in it as he was, and maybe it's just because it takes that much energy to kick out Olympians, and he just can't do that anymore. I don't know, but
yep. I like listening to him on the call.
He's good.
I thought that the announcers did a good job. I thought him being in there gave some good insight.
Shane Sparks would be better.
Another level.
That's right. Yep.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the women. We've gone 50 minutes. That's pretty good for the 6 brackets.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
But you love it. I tell you what, I enjoyed it so much. I tried to figure out now. I didn't like the NBC app because you couldn't kind of have it on the same screen. When you clicked on like mat 1 and mat 2, and I couldn't get it all going at once. I was just getting frustrated. So I'd watch what's happening on track. And then those brackets, as they come up, I'd go to what mat they are on in the other one. And so I had to have 2 things kind of going that way. But I got her done, watched a lot.
And one more thing about this, Bill was kind of talking about it earlier, but it's like, I haven't been to NCAAs yet, so I'm hoping to do that. But I went to the Olympic trials in Iowa City, and there's just something special about, like you were saying, like the tournament, like the people taking the shoes off, just the atmosphere is just, it was awesome. I wish I could have gone again this year. I don't think it'll be something I ever miss again if I can help it.
Yeah.
Well, Luke Melmer was down there. I saw that he was on Facebook posting a picture from pretty close up, and I was just going jealous. I was going, yeah.
JJ Nelson and I looked at getting some tickets because you can get a direct flight from Bismarck to Dallas and Fort Worth now. But we looked into it, but decided not to. And yeah,
you're single.
Yeah.
I was actually counting the number of people that had been on this show that were there. I'd see, either they posted on Facebook or Twitter, or we saw, obviously, Coach Manning, and Ryan Warner from Wrestling Changed My Life. We got Jordan.
Shane Sparks,
Jason Bryant. There's a lot of them that had been on the show that were in that building, so it's kind of fun. Aaron Larson was there, so yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, let's go quickly to some of the women's brackets. Now, I was impressed at how well, and you've already mentioned this, the young wrestlers did well, and not all the 1 seeds won. They had all these people waiting in the finals, and it was good. The battles were good going through all the way through Friday, and then into Saturday. We hadn't got to see all these ladies wrestle, because they're all waiting for somebody to come meet them.
Right.
We had all these, world placers, world medalists.
I think at 50 kilograms, that final was pretty much expected. Vicky Anthony was in the last Olympic trials finals against Aguillo, and then you have Hildebrandt, who's a returning world medalist, sitting out in the finals, and that was a good. Just went the 2 matches, but they wrestle. I think they were They used to train a lot when they were different weight classes, and now they're meeting in the middle, so they knew each other pretty well. But
yep, no, that. Go back, a little bit on the challenge. Amy Firmside was a Jamestown gal, so nice to see her. She made the finals of the mini tournament. Got beat by Vicky, but those 2 at the top, right? Victoria Anthony and Sarah Hildebrandt are beasts. God, they're fun to watch wrestle. I mean, it's a great brand of wrestling. Just really everything was fun about it. So.
It'll be interesting to see going forward too. There's a high school girl in that weight class too. There's a Sage Mormer from Utah, and then Emily Shilson's pretty young too. I look for those 2 to be right in there the next cycle if they're in the same weight class again. But
I would think Emily Shilson will stay in that weight class. She's She's
pretty little,
about that size. Yeah, I think she's pretty small, and we've talked about her on here quite a few times because I love her. I think she's fun to watch. She's a battler. She wrestled everywhere during this COVID year. Really doesn't get a lot of competition, I don't think, in the college, at the college level. So she's fun. She's good. They're looking for a new head coach, I think, at Augsburg women. So maybe Nate, maybe it'll be Colin.
Yeah.
Be a good training partner for you.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll beat you up too bad. She's good. But so I think I think we could have been, I think we're good to either one of those two, Victoria Anthony or Sarah at that weight class at going to the Olympics. But I think Sarah's really good. So we're in good shape there.
Okay, 53, Winchester.
Ronna
Heaton went on a heater at this tournament.
She looked good. She's got to have a tough feel for a lot of athletes, because I think what we find, I've said it many times, watching her wrestle through this COVID year, I didn't realize, but most of the time when she wrestled on all those pro cards, she was wrestling up a weight all the time. So I heard someone else talk about that, and I think that probably really helped her. But her scrambling is,
her hips. I mean,
it's
really
next
good.
level.
Stepping over, and then in the she stepped over in the finals of the mini tournament, and then Winchester had her in the air on that double leg, and she give up the takedown there? I don't remember, but it was just good hips.
She gave up a takedown, and then all of a sudden she just stepped back, and she was on top. I was like, "What the heck happened?" I had to rewind it and watch it.
Crazy,
it was the weirdest thing. Yeah,
she was competing really, really hard. South Dakota should be very proud.
Yep, she did. She battled. I was telling. I guess I don't remember who it was. I was telling. Maybe it was just my wife and Billy when we were watching. But Billy's senior year, so it'd be like fall of 15. We went to the Wapanda tournament, the Dan Unruh, and she wrestled there. She had just come. She was on the cadet world team that year, and then she was wrestling for Brookings, obviously, in high school. And she made the finals, lost to Justin Harms in the finals. But that was kind of my first, introduction to her. And I was like, man, she's obviously pretty good. It looks good, and she just continues to get better. Looked good in that tournament. Looked great. I mean, pinned Catherine Shy in the finals of mini tournament. And then
Seth Gross, she trains with.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. and you see that, actually, you kind of see that rub off, I think. That's what the more I watched her, through all this.
With the scrambling, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. I think that there's just a lot of that. And that, a lot of that probably comes from, you hear them talk about that out at Penn State. And I think they do a lot of that play wrestling, right? Where you're just kind of getting in, you're going about half speed, and you'll see that, I think, a lot in the Russians, where there's just a lot of fluidity, and you're just moving from one move to another move, and different, working through positions. And I bet, we're seeing a lot of that in their training. So she looked greet.
I thought Winchester wrestled pretty tight the first two matches she just wasn't letting her attacks go. But the second match, she started doing a little better, and she's fun to watch. She's explosive. She's a good athlete. She's a very good athlete.
Yeah, she is. Yep, and she can. You've seen her a lot over the years, and she can really be high scoring. And obviously put 12 up in the second match, but yeah, she's good. She'll be. I love our team. I really do. You can hear me. I'll just say it now. I could say it in every bracket, but I really, really like this team.
I think each girl could take home a medal. It's harder to say that about the men's team, just because you know how good the rest of the world is. But in the women's weight classes, obviously Japan is the team that Terry Steiner goes to bed thinking about every night, how to catch them. But I think this is the best team he's had to do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, Jakara Winchester looked good. She's, obviously training. It looked good in her training. It's exciting.
Well, the next weight, 57, That's one that kind of surprised me that it went 3 matches, but there was some heart given there by Jenna Burkett.
Helen Maroulis had a torn MCL too. That came out. She said that in her post-match interview. So she was wrestling injured. But if there's ever, like, out of the whole tournament, obviously Burroughs Dake, but if there's a 3-match series where, like, the highs and lows of wrestling, it was that one. Like, it's just incredible how great she wrestled a week after her mom died.
Jenna looked really good. She's so tough, I mean, just, not talking she's tough about, wrestling through what she went through emotionally. She's just tough. She's going to beat you up.
Yeah.
And in that 3rd match, Helen, though, caught her right away. And that was
foot sweep. Just so you know.
The foot sweep was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great for her back.
Marco.
Yeah. I got foot swept last night, and I'm still here fighting through a concussion. So it's no fun.
That's
but
definitely in her bag of tricks.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that wasn't something that she just did for the first time. I mean, she hit that hard. We might as well say that's another athlete that's training at the Line Wrestling Club. So, they're doing something right. So,
well, with that bad knee, you bring in extra wrestlers. You never know, what could happen. Yep. I would think Jenna would be a great replacement if it did come down to something, but you'd hate to take it away from Helen,
Yeah, I would guess, meniscus is going to be fine. She'll be fine.
I've been thinking about this too. In the COVID year, it'll be interesting to see. It'd be interesting to have Terry Steiner on again, and just kind of talk about how they're going to. They might not give up the information, but how they're going to train the athletes this summer, because usually they have the multiple national team camps at the Olympic Training Center. But do they keep the athletes with a small group of people, or how are they gonna get them the best competition to get them worked up to compete at that level? Because usually, they bring in the national. Like I said, they bring in the national team members to get them some good competition and get prepared. But it'd be interesting.
I think they usually get together with the Canadians and train. A lot of that kind of stuff will have to be different this year, but so obviously Helen won it in 2016. I think she could win it again. She hopefully everything is okay health wise. The knee part I'm not completely worried about by that time. Keep the concussions out. And with
her, it's all about her mental state. I feel
exactly. I was going to say that. Keep her mentally, going forward, and maybe she's in the right room for that too to help. But she really is fun to watch wrestle. But I'd say that about every one of these women that won. So,
well, at 62 went 3 matches. That one, Kilty kind of surprised me. At different times, she looked tough.
She's another gritty. Yeah, she's tough and gritty wrestler too. And she wanted to continue wrestling in that 3rd match, but her shoulder was definitely a little backed up.
Looked like it popped out, but Kayla Miracle, training down in she is at Arizona State also, isn't she, with Perry? Yep. So like we talked about her last week, that she's just another one that wrestles so tough and physically pushes the pace, and looks good. So, who else was a bracket? We should look at. There was some other
Mallory
stuff.
Velty was in that weight class.
Yeah.
I think Kilty beat Velty. That was.
Oh, Maya Nelson.
That's in the finals. Yep. But and then I think Kilty was a fairly large. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't remember this one off the top of my head. But there was Velty, Maya Nelson. Velty's a returning world medalist.
Oh, Julia Salata.
Yep. What did I say? Velty's a returning world medalist. Kilty's a 2-time junior world medalist, cadet world champ. Maya Nelson's a junior world champ. So probably one of the deepest weights, like they were saying on.
Yeah. Zavala, another one. I think we saw her wrestle in Jamestown.
Yep.
And she was the rest of the tournament there. So, yeah. Oh, Paige. Yep. June Page. So, good bracket, good weight class. Women are coming. getting better all the time. I think we got a good group. So
okay, to the next weight, that's 68, and that's a stock. Tamara.
Yeah, Tamara
Yep.
Mensah stock is
the best wrestler in America.
The best wrestler in America, maybe one of the top wrestlers in the world at any weight class. She's looks really good on top. She's really good on her feet. She's super strong, technical.
And her personal coach, just to give another shout out, is the guy that made Tamira what she is. She, from what I understand, she was a good athlete and she was very raw. And she went before she started in college, and Terry saw something in her that she could be this type of wrestler, and he got her out of the OTC. And I believe, I mean, obviously they have the EAP coaches out there, but he's pretty much her personal coach. So she is very, very good.
Yep, she is. And so we were talking about the high school kids. Kennedy Blades is obviously the one that made it in this bracket, won the mini tournament, made it to the finals, got a takedown on Tamira.
And what she did in the mini tournament finals, what did they say? Forrest Molinari gave up 4 points and 0 takedowns at the last World Championships she wrestled in, and Kennedy Blades beat her 11-0. So it took her down 5 times. So,
well, I remember I heard before that what the heck am I thinking? I was going to say, God dang it! Now I lost. There you go.
Sorry, Bill.
Losing my mind.
Were you thinking about the finals? Were you thinking about the finals?
Well, I just know that this is one we've seen coming, right? You know, she's ones that we've all kind of knew was coming. She's been one of the better up and coming kids in the country. She's one that they're kind of waiting for her to get there. She's gonna she'll
just to get old enough, basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be fun. She looks good.
And she didn't win. I don't think she won the Cadet World Championship. She was a heavy favorite to win that when she made the team 2 years ago. But they said she got a concussion. Otherwise, she probably would have won that tournament. And then more people would even know her name than what we already.
I remember what I was going to say. I remember hearing that Adeline Gray had said that she was going to make it through this cycle, but she's worried about the day that she doesn't want to be the one that's fighting for a spot with Kennedy Blades.
Okay.
Someday. Yeah. She was like, Adeline Gray said that, a while back. She's like, this Kennedy Blades is coming up and she's going to be troubles.
Hopefully her and Tamira can get it figured out for the next cycle. Who's going where, if Tamira moves up or Kennedy moves up. Cause I think Tamira's got at least another cycle in her after this.
I think so too.
And Adeline, I think if Adeline wins an Olympic gold, I think she'll be ready to be done. That's kind of the vibe.
I think so too. Yep.
Okay. Well, he made a comment on Facebook and not on our thing here, but Jim Makovsky wants to know how he can get one of those Century Wrestling T-shirts.
I can get him one. Not this one, but next year. Get him one. We're all out of these.
Well, I tell you what, that's pretty good. He did it on the Facebook side, and I was looking at it, and I'm going, yeah, we'll have to get him one of those too.
Well, come recruit some of these Bismarck boys again, Jim.
Yeah,
maybe he is, but yeah.
Well, Jim, also I've got a Dakota Grappler, a couple of T-shirts for you here too. Now, I got to get Bill. I got another couple new ones I just got, so I'll have to show you those coming up. But now we got to go to Madeline, got to go to Gray here, of course, and talk just a little bit. She is kind of how could you say, the veteran lady of the group, and she's kind of going to be
carrying the torch.
I think she's going to be carrying the torch for the team. Definitely. Good way to say it.
Yeah, she looks
Adeline Gray.
Yeah, she's so good on top. And that's
she always had a good leg lace, but now the gut wrench.
Now the gut wrench too. And so she really only needs to get one takedown and she can put a match away. And she can do that against. That's one of those things that is good against anybody, right? I mean, if you're that good on top, doesn't matter what style someone wrestles on their feet, because we know we run into, you get wrestling people from other parts of the world, and maybe you get someone that's just holds really good position, and you can't, it's really hard to get a takedown or to get 2 or 3 takedowns if you need them to win. She only needs one. She just needs to get on top one time, and she's gonna,
that's
gonna have a pretty good chance of putting you away.
That's got to feel so good as a wrestler, just that confidence. So I get taken down, I don't get turned, I stand back up, I take this person down and run around behind him, and I can put it away just like that. That's got to feel, just to have that in your back pocket. And now she's got, like we said, she's got 2 things. If the leg lace doesn't work, she can get some turns with her gut. So,
Nope, that's what she mentioned, that she didn't use a leg lace at all. She was just
she did say that too, didn't she? Yep. And this was another weight class where we had a high school junior, 17-year-old girl make the finals. Kylie Welker, she was the 14 seed, that actually, placed second in the last chance qualifier at the weight below this, and then
she got beat by Blades, right? She got beat by Blades. 76 at the last chance, and then cut.
And then, So yeah, she, that's another one coming, and obviously that's a Wisconsin girl, a state that does not have, girls wrestling, so she's, wrestling with the guys. So, that's another good bracket.
Okay. Now we'll just do a short thing. We're over the hour part already, but got to talk a little Greco. Let's go through the 6 guys that got in there at least. Let's go to the lowest weight, and I've got a couple comments because I watched a little more Greco than I had in a while.
Ildar Hafizov, his wife won a green card lottery, and he did, or I can't remember the story. I think it was his wife. And they got to move over to the United States. That was the year before the last Olympic cycle in 2015, because I remember watching him at the 2016 Olympic trials, and I think that's a really good weight for him, 60 kilograms. So
yeah, he came from Uzbekistan. Was he was an Olympian for Uzbekistan, wasn't he?
I believe
I think in London,
or at least a world level, or at least a world
team member. Yeah. So yeah, he's obviously he's really good at Greco, and I think that maybe is one of our, but we just don't do that well in Greco. That's it. So if we can get two guys to wrestle for medals, I'd be ecstatic, obviously. So
I understand it too, but it'd be nice to see some of our guys that were just absolutely dominant at age level in both styles. It'd be nice to see some guys like, in the Greco is different, obviously, but like it would have been interesting if they would hold the trials different weekends to see a guy like Mitch McKee enter in the Greco tournament, because I think he could have, or him commit to Greco for a year or 2 and see what he could really do. But
when Matt Lindland became the coach, didn't they do that just for the world team trials? Just like 1 year, that was his idea. Let's do these separately and try to get a Gabe Dean or a Kyle Dake or guys that take second at the freestyle or wherever that fall out of the ladder. But yeah, I'd love to see Mitch McKee in there, or
Bo Nickel or Hayden Zilmer, or those guys that can do both.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about the guys that qualified in both freestyle and Greco?
Braxton Amos.
Amos, he was in both brackets. Yep. Actually looked pretty good, both brackets. He's gonna be.
Did he and Ferrari meet in freestyle, Bill, on the backside? I don't think they did.
You think they did? No, I don't think so.
I don't think they did. No,
because
that was something people were talking about in the freestyle tournament too. Not to get sidetracked, but because
we've never been sidetracked on this show in the past. So I'd hate to start now, but let's just look and see. Amos. Amos forfeited to Gadsden. I think he was if I remember right, he was up like on deck in Greco, and it was like 4 it was like 6 matches later in freestyle or something. So
okay,
or it could have been the other way around. So he
just bowed out on the backside.
Yep. And if he beats Gadsden, he would have Actually, if he would have beat Gadsden, let me just look here. Then Zilmer actually forfeited out. He would have never got to Ferrari. He would have ended up with Ty Walls and for third or something. But
okay.
I saw Ferrari had a cast or a walking boot on when he left. Saw a picture of him. Yeah. So
he gives it everything he's got. That doesn't surprise me.
Yep. So, but he did wrestle in the last. I mean, he didn't forfeit out. He lost to Honus 11-10. So
yeah,
which is interesting, right? They might both be at 97, 197 next year.
Yeah,
along with Braxton Amos.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to Greco Finals.
Okay. Well, at 67, you got Sancho. He was just tough to score on. He kept position. He seemed like he was, that's the thing that's crazy there is that, if you can keep position, the whole idea of scoring that first point is not as big as just getting one takedown in the whole thing. But they can't push them out. You can't do nothing. They're pretty. They fight in. They're pretty tough. They're pretty good hand fighter.
Ellis Coleman retired. I guess I didn't see that, but Ellis Coleman was an Olympian, like almost right out of high school as a teenager in 2012. Yep. And
Flying Squirrel.
Yep, he was in the finals in that way. He retired.
Yep.
So.
Okay, then to 77.
Now this is the first weight at this in Greco that we are not qualified for, right? So,
but it's a pretty stacked weight, like as far as names are concerned.
Yeah,
Kamal Bay is suspended. He's probably the favorite to win that weight class. But Ben Provisor he made the Olympic team in 2012 at 74 kilograms, and he'd been wrestling a higher weight class, and he decided to cut back down. And there's Mason Manville and Pat Smith and a bunch of guys that have been on world teams or age level world teams, and none of them made it to the finals.
Right. Yeah. I guess I was trying to. I remember that Manville and Smith, and so Smith won that match 2-1, over Manville. Geez, that's a guy there that if you watched
in high school,
Minnesota high school wrestling, right? Well, he won a cadet world championship and
in freestyle.
And then came directly back from overseas and came to Fargo. So you don't see that happen very often.
He did both freestyle and Greco at the world championships.
Yep. So
he was
and he's never made the lineup really. I mean, obviously never made the lineup at Penn State. Must still be training there, I assume, right? Is he? Yep. Navy Wrestling Club. So I assumed he was still in the room. So I don't think he can make 157 pounds, but they're looking for a new 57 pounder. So they need a 65 pounder too.
So Porter here, he did dominate, but they have to qualify at 77.
You got to qualify the weight, which might be tough.
Yep. Okay, let's go to 87.
This is, I would say,
they're upset here. Yeah,
this was an upset here. I did not see that match.
The Alan Vera was supposed to win. He's a Cuban. He defected from Cuba. I don't know if he was the world team rep for Cuba, but he defected from Cuba, and he has some serious skills. And it was one of those things that they didn't even know if he was going to get his, transfer papers in or whatever, so he could represent the United States. But I think that was kind of a win to get him
eligible.
Yeah. Yep. And then he ended up losing in the first round.
You catch that one on the bottom there, Nate?
Would love to get a Century guy. Me and Bill.
Okay.
All right.
No, I think we can handle that. Definitely. Ryder Cup style.
Well, Jim can pay for us to golf at Hawk Tree.
I owe these two a round of golf, so I'd just include you wherever. If Jim comes around, or we'll find a place. So I'd include you. I've already got to pay for these two, as I lost on the finals of the D1 picks to these two. So that'll be on.
Did you guys watch the Rao Stefanovic first match?
I did.
So I didn't see it. I turned to you. Did you hear? So I could tell there was some sort of a controversy, but I didn't know what it was. Now I heard later that it sounded like what happened was the ref blew the whistle. Rao had a front headlock.
Yep.
and like he was about to pop his head off, and they blew the whistle, and which they never would do overseas. I mean, that's not a, the other option is you either get passed out or you go to your back, one or the other.
Decapitated. So, yeah.
So, and then obviously, Round never could get anything going in the second match. So, but that's I think we're qualified here, but I don't think we have a real good chance of medaling. But you never know.
The one thing about Greco, it's some of those the countries like Norway and Sweden and Denmark, they're not really a factor in freestyle, but all those countries, Greco is that is their wrestling style. They don't focus so much on freestyle. Their best athletes are wrestling Greco, and so you're contending with that too. If you draw European, it's like a European or a Cuban, you better hang on tight.
I think Makowski was on the ladder for the Polish Greco team, so he probably could join in here and give us a little bit of insight on what's coming on from that part of the world.
Yeah, he probably speaks Polish.
Yeah. So,
well, I tell you what, and at 97, this is when Amos had made the finals, but that Hancock, he was tough to score on. I think he's probably our best chance of medaling in the Olympics. But have we qualified at this weight?
Yep.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah,
he's beaten the guy that's the returning Olympic champ and kind of the favorite. He beat him once. He's pinned him before. So
yeah, he's really good. When you watch, I can watch Tracy Hancock wrestle anytime. I'm not going to stand in line to watch a lot of Greco wrestling, but you mentioned Kamal Bey. I've been known to run all the way around the Fargo Dome to get to a match where he was wrestling. He is just so much fun to watch wrestle Greco, and Hancock's right in there, with maybe a little bit more defense, So yeah, he's fun to watch.
Well, I tell you what, that's a great run, guys, right there. Made it through all.
Got one more. One more.
Oh yeah.
We got one more, and this weight is not qualified. I would think we should have a good chance of getting it qualified.
It's crazy that it's not, because Kuhn went on that run right out of college and headlocked a bunch of people and took silver. And then last couple of world championships, he's won 0-1, I believe.
Yeah, and we got two other guys. Obviously he wrestled Colton Schultzer, who's I think has been a world medalist at the junior level. Maybe cadet level too. I don't know in Greco. So, we got two good guys there that, are going to push each other. But man, Kuhn is so big. Not that we didn't know that already, but
he wants to be an astronaut.
He wants to be an astronaut. So
he won't fit in a
he's an engineer. He'll build a bigger spaceship.
or he could play guard for my Packers. We need one.
Oh,
he could, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he could, yeah.
He's a big man.
He'd rather wrestle Greco than play guard for the Packers.
Well, what kind of school did he go to in high school? Is he a New York boy too? The Kuhn?
No, he's Michigan.
Okay.
Yep. Michigan.
Because I was looking at all the stuff now. Army, the Marines, and then New York had a ton of the Greco guys. Must be the specific training centers.
It's just a New York athletic club. That's kind of
the sponsors that.
Yeah, and those the Army training program and the Marines training program, they really do fight. I mean, they do spend a lot of their emphasis is in the Greco on the men's side. There's some women in the world class athlete program, obviously in freestyle too. Like Jenna Burkett would be one. That made the finals, but yeah, they get paid to be wrestlers at this point for their service teams.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, very good.
Well, awesome. So give us a rundown on kind of the schedule on stuff for the future. Now we have the Olympics coming up later, but kind of go through some stuff that it's got the last chance qualifier that's in May.
Yep.
for the Olympics.
I think that the UWW Cadet World Team Trials that's coming up here pretty soon. Is that this weekend already or next week?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It's coming up soon though.
But it's in the Wisconsin Dells, I believe. So that's in a different location than it's.
I think that's the only place that wrestling is allowed these days is either in Fort Worth, Texas, or Wisconsin Dells. It's like there's tournaments there every weekend. Yeah. So that's probably the next big thing on the world level. That's cadets, and then, but I don't know if U23s is the same time like it usually is or not.
I think they're separate.
So.
I think juniors and U23s are separate.
Yeah. So. Those are the next few things coming. Should be I don't know, is there a US Open in this year also or not? I guess I could.
No, they kind of talked about I don't know. It's going to be interesting too, the timeline. They haven't come out with it yet, but I believe, any if you made the Olympic team or you medaled, you can automatically wrestle in the 2021 World Championships.
Right.
Then they'll have to have they'll still have to have a World Team Trials.
That's UWW Juniors and Senior Nationals is in Coralville, April 30th to May 2nd.
Oh, they are having another Senior Nationals.
So that'll just be like
U.S. Open.
Be the U.S. Open. Yep, not the World Team Trials, but the U.S. Open. So that's April 30th to May 2nd. I just found that. So
okay.
And then I don't think they've set a time for the actual World Team Trials, but I suppose it'll be like normal if you win the Senior Nationals and you would sit in the final, you could sit in the finals of the World Team Trials if there isn't already someone sitting there, but that's interesting.
One event that happened last weekend too that's kind of fun that I like to watch too, the Dapper Dan or the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic happened the same weekend as the Olympic Trials, which I was kind of surprised that they decided to do it that way. I guess the Olympic Trials got postponed and moved around and stuff, but I kind of like following that. There's some good high school. That was some good high school wrestling going on too.
I did not watch any of it. I normally do. So
it was a very Pennsylvania actually beat the USA. That's kind of was my take. But I only watched a couple of matches, but Pennsylvania beat the USA this year, so that doesn't happen all the time.
No. I was kind of hoping maybe we'd end up with a wrestler from, a North Dakota wrestler in there this year, but we didn't, obviously. And since Ryan would have been the last one we had.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I thought maybe one of the Tanafus.
That's what I was thinking, but I think there's some loaded weights there around the country.
Yeah. In some years they have a 113 pounder. Some years they don't have a 113 pounder. They never have 106, but some years they have 113. Some years they start at 120. And you're talking about some number one and number two guys in the country.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If they did start, if they had the 13 this year, maybe
Christian might have
a chance, because there's obviously, he's good, but then again, there's not a lot of 113-pound seniors. So, and there may not have been a lot of 113-pound seniors out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they kind of, like that's exactly it. They kind of cook the books so they can try to do a little bit. So,
yep.
And then locally, we got 4 weeks of freestyle, several tournaments. You can go on and check those out. And it's not until the 1st of April we have the Greco and Freestyle State Tournament in Jamestown for the high school and littler kids, the grade schoolers, and so we've got that in the state, a lot of USA events over the next 4 weeks, hoping that more and more people push to get their kids doing a little bit of freestyle and Greco over the next few weekends.
Yeah. No, those. I hope that, I'm sure most programs, and I would say on the Class B side, probably for sure, really drop off that week after state folk style, right?
Mm-hmm.
We try to get as many kids to come, and wrestle freestyle as you can, and Greco. And I'm not in every room. I can tell you in Carrington, we did have a drop off, but actually have a pretty good bunch of kids, wrestling freestyle. We do have we had a couple teams go to freshman sophomore duels last weekend from the state.
1st of May. I didn't mean the 1st of April. I said
yeah. Did you?
Yeah.
And but there's, we hopefully still kids out there in all these clubs that are, getting excited about wrestling some freestyle. Our kids that are in the room kind of seem to like it. They think they're having, it gets different when you have to go to a tournament and lose one time because you didn't know the rule. That'll happen. We just try to tell them, don't worry about that. But
get leg lace for the first time.
Yep.
And then I believe next week, not this weekend, but the next weekend is when the teams go to the elementary and middle school.
Elementary. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, not this week, but next weekend. So that stuff's coming.
And there was another thing last weekend was a big dual tournament that went on, and I saw a bunch of people compete down there. Minot competed, and
the freshman sophomore
tournament. Yep. I saw a lot of South Dakota people that wrestled down in that AAU tournament, but that was very good.
Yep.
So I got one more thing here before we get in there. Jim says Terry Steiner was a great high school and college wrestler, but the impact that he's having on the lives of the present and future women in the sport of wrestling is unreal. The women's freestylers at the trials wrestled an exciting, aggressive style and some inspirational storylines. So true. Great.
100% that true. Yep.
Great comment, Jim, because I tell you what, Terry Steiner, we've had him on a couple times on the show, and I said it's gold. I will get him on here before, maybe over the next couple of weeks, but definitely before the Olympics. I'll get him on and we'll talk of what he's thinking about his team and how he's training them a little bit. If he can get us that information, that'd be great. And Nate, I'll bring you on too, because you always got great questions. And Terry's just an inspiration, guys. I tell you what, if you guys
I've met those guys, but I don't know them very well. And just being the coach at Century, I'd like to kind of,
maybe he'll take you along to Tokyo.
Yeah.
There we go. And Terry, by far, I've known him my whole life. He is and I don't want to put this, Troy, if you're watching, Terry's the nicer of the two. Yeah, he's a hugger. He's a hugger. And Troy would have ripped your head off. Terry would have hugged you. That's kind of the difference between them as you grew up. When you wrestled them both, when you were done, Terry would come over and give you a hug, good match, and Troy would be gone. I'm going to go do what I need to do, go work some more. But no, guys, I tell you what, just keep pushing the sport. We're going to love it and keep going. We've got the Great Olympics this summer. Make sure you keep that on your schedule. And just, guess what? Just keep paying attention. We're going to try to come on still maybe once a week, just do something short. I was expecting this to be about 45 minutes tonight. So over an hour and a half. I didn't think we'd have as much to talk about, but when you love the sport, it just comes so easy and you just keep talking. Jim, thanks again for all the great comments. And we'll have to talk on the backside so we can arrange that golf tournament sometime this summer. I'll make sure I keep Nate in the loop, and Nate can be my partner.
One other thing I want to kind of mention too, as I kind of help out with it, I'll put in a plug for Luke, but Luke Melmer for Team North Dakota has sent out some information now for kids that are interested in going to junior duels. And then there's a junior national camp that comes up after it. And great opportunity, even if you don't want to go to Oklahoma or you don't want to wrestle in Fargo, to get your hands on some really good guys. So if your parents are listening or wrestlers are listening, or go back and listen, get a hold of Luke and he'll shoot you in the right direction if you want to get better.
And definitely, I mentioned this last week too, Century's got a nice wrestling camp coming also this summer. We'll pay attention to that, where, Berwick will be there, and so will another Wisconsin wrestler.
Eric Barnett.
Eric Barnett, yep.
And somebody else too.
Awesome.
Riplinger.
Ryan. Rip. So it's going to be a nice camp, very cheap, $75 to get into it. Great camp.
Yeah, Justin always puts a pretty good camp together. Justin Dakota does.
So I'll have that information on Dakota Grappler. If you guys ever need anything, contact me at any time. You can find my email, john.gums@gmail.com. You can find it and get a hold of me, and I'll get you the information too if you need it. Definitely. Well, thanks again. We'll talk more wrestling. Again, thanks again, Nate and Bill. You guys got any last words, Nate?
No, I enjoy coming on here. I'm just, sorry, I speak up too much, but I love this sport. full of useless knowledge. So it allows me to spill some of it out.
Love it, Nate. And Bill?
No, it was great when Nate comes on. There's no, you can't speak up too much here. It's great to hear what you have to say. I've always enjoyed your passion for the sport, and we can kind of exude that out to some other people watching and listening. It's great. So I came off a good solid weekend of wrestling. We're we're looking for spring to show up here, and summer's coming. We need some rain, and it's golf season.
Definitely. And Nate, you are the future of coaches. Really, you're young, and you're in a great spot, and you're doing a good job. I do appreciate everything you do for the sport. You got to know that. It's not just a parent. I'm talking as a total fan of the sport. You do a great job. Okay. Well, you guys have a great night. Dakota Grappler will bring another show to you next Wednesday, hopefully at 8:00, and we'll talk some more wrestling. You guys have a great night.